Hello everyone, good morning. Can anyone please confirm am I audible or not? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay then. Okay, just I'm running my application by using npm start command. It may take some time. First it has npm start command. If you run, can anyone tell where it is going to looking for this command? Where it is going to looking? The start command where you written already? Can anyone? See this npm start. Okay, you run this command. Yeah, inside the package.json, there has one property called as a scripts. Inside the scripts property, this is the start. If I put like yes, okay, then that my command is like what? To run this particular one. My command is like npm yes. Okay, your wish, you can put anything, but naming convention you have to follow. Okay, you can change this one key, but value should not change. Why? Why? Because my React scripts is the library. Okay, we are trying to use it. This library already we loaded. Okay, library we should not change, right? Library we should not change. Name your wish, you can change it. Okay, what this guy is going to do? Can anyone guess what this guy is going to do? This particular command, what it's going to do? It's going to run your application in one server. See the starting development server. Okay, and my code, my JSX code also compile. Okay, compilation also done by whom? This guy only or not? Internally he is using Babel or something, whatever it is. Okay, this guy only, right? Externally, I didn't specify the Babel anywhere. See here, React is there, React DOM is there, React Router DOM is there, React scripts is there. My Babel is not there. My compilation, who will take care now? This guy only will take care or not? Understand or not? npm start command. Okay, what about this command? Build. Why we go for? Why we go for this build command? Can anyone? Yeah, to minify that code, right? Okay, whatever the code you written, this is like a source code, we can say general. Okay, this is the terminology we are going to use, source code. Okay, no one deploy this source code directly in your production. Why? Because my production is like a public URL. Anyone can see it. Anyone can see it or not. No one deploy the source code. So whatever you written the code, that code has to build it. Yes or no? Okay, whenever you run this command, one folder created like what? Build folder with the name of build folder, which contains all your application related files in minified format. Minified two things we can get it by minifying the code. One is like we can reduce the size of your application. Okay, source code size is like 100 KB. My minified application size is like 10 KB. Okay, it's going to reduce the size. At the same time, not understandable format. If anyone see the minified code, okay, we are not able to understand. Those two are the fetchings if you build your application. Understand? So can we run? Yeah, this is the one. Okay. Now if I click on the home page is going to execute. If I click on the about page, if I click on the contact page, okay. Yeah. Now if I refresh the page, what you're expecting? Okay, if I refresh the page, okay, what you're expecting? If I refresh the page, okay, see here, based on this path, where you are now, you are in the contact page, right? Then why I need to go to home page? Okay, I'm in the contact page, just I'm going to refresh the contact page only, right? For example, here something wrong, okay, the data is not fetching, okay, in the contact page. If I refresh the page, then that time you should be in the contact page only. Again, just you are going to re-rendering your content or not. No one, if I refresh the page, no one is navigate to home page. No one is navigate to home page. Understand or not? Okay, you are in the contact one. See this path. See, the path is like what? Contact. If my path is like a contact, already the mapping, my contact path mapping already done or not? What is my mapping? menu.jsx. Okay, for my contact, the mapping component is what? Contact component. So that particular component is going to load. Okay, it never go to your home page. But you can ask one question. Hey, if I write like this, Let me see. Is my narration is there? Is my narration is there? Is my narration path is there? Okay, narration path is not there. Then that time you can ask me, yeah, redirect to home page. Redirect to home page. If there is no matching, nothing is there, then we can redirect to home page. If the path is there, yes, you can. That redirection, I already told you, the redirection switch and everything, I will tell in the next class. Got it or not? Okay, this is the valid question. Okay, if my path is not matching, then it should redirect to home page. If my path is already there, and then you should be in that particular page only. So for good. Okay, now if I click on the exception handling, okay, now this is the one here, this is Superman, here this is Batman, something went wrong, it's okay, fine. Now open your exception handling component folder. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, this is my hero component. Okay, because of this content only, in this particular component only, my exception raised or not. In this particular component only, my exception raised. Where my exception raised? Okay, first of all, find that component. Where you loaded? Okay, where you loaded that component. Both two things you have to find it. Where my exception raised and the hero component. Okay, hero component, inside hero component, my exception raised. Okay, whenever you are using that hero component, then only, right, that particular component is going to load that code, whatever you written, that is going to execute. Okay, in this particular component, exception raised. If you not use, then no problem at all. Okay, if you not use here, okay, if you not use, this one is not there, then there is no problem, right? There is no problem, right? Okay, so that in which component the exception raised, that is the first thing. Okay, the next thing is like where that particular component you loaded. Okay, where you loaded, that is an important thing. Okay, you loaded inside here or not. Perfect. This is my component. Okay, now whenever you loaded one component inside another component, that component, which component you loaded, that is like a children, where you loaded, that is like a parent one. Okay, I already told to you, in your React, if you want to handle the exceptions, there has two lifecycle methods over there. One is like get error state from error, another one is like component to detach. So that where we are going to write that lifecycle methods, that is the next question. Where you want me to write it? Do you want me to write inside my hero, or do you want me to write inside the parent? Inside the parent you have to override. That is the syntax, that is the rule you have to follow. Okay, why they asked me to write that particular get derived state from error inside the parent means, okay, each and every parent has multiple children. So any children has any problem, okay, general, my parent should know about the problem. My parent is the responsible person to provide the solution or something to my children or not, general way, if you think. So that they said like inside the parent you should have to override get derived state from error. Okay, now yesterday's discussion, if you recap, see this. Hero is my component, my exception handling is like a parent if the exception boundary is not there. Okay, now here if you come to my about one, okay, hero is my component, about is my parent one. Now, if you write like this, if this is not there, then that type here about component is the parent, their exception handling is the parent. Like this, how many places you have to write get error state from error, here, there, like this, multiple places you have to write it or not. I don't want to overwrite that particular get error state from error each and every place. So I will do one thing. I created one component. Okay, exception boundary is my component. Okay, any name you can put it, not a matter. Any name. It's not a predefined or something. Any name you can put it. Exception boundary, handling exceptions like this, you can put anything. The goal is inside this component, I want to override this particular method. That's it. Okay, now I want to make this particular one. Now, in which component you want me to override? I said in the parent component. Now I override this one. The next level is what? You have to make it like a parent to my hero component or not. Okay, just reverse now. Okay, I asked you like derived this particular method inside a parent. Now I derived this method inside an exception boundary. If I make it is like a parent to my hero component, then that time my statement is like valid or not. So if you come here, okay, now this is my children. I override this method inside this exception boundary. Can you make this one like a parent to my hero component? Done. Now see, this is my children. Okay, this is my parent. My parent has get derived state from error. So any problem any problem inside my parent, then that time this guy is going to take care or not. Now come to this guy now. Okay, come to this guy. Okay, now here, can anyone explain me about this one? When this method is going to trigger? Whenever my children throws an exception, okay, then that time this method is going to called or not. Called or not. That is the statement. Now, this method called is nothing but you can conclude like what? Yes, that children throws already one exception like this. You can conclude or not. Okay, this method when it's going to call any children has any problem, any children raises an exception, then the time this method is going to call. This method is going to call. Now, if this method is going to call, that means what? Yes, my children raises an exception. My children throws an exception. Yes or no? Like this you can say or not. So, first of all, create one state variable. Okay, that state variable is like, okay, one name has exception is like false. By default, at the time of loading my application, okay, we are not expecting any exceptions or something, right? So that I said like false. Okay, whenever this method is going to execute, then the time exception is there. So that I change like what? Exception is like true. Okay, here, this is the state variable, right? Generally, if you want to update the state variable, which method is there? Set state is the method. Okay, how we can write it? Or set state like this. You can write it or not. Set state is the method. Now, this dot set state is the method is okay, fine. But this is available inside the static context or not? But this is available inside the static context or not? But this is not available inside the static context. Then the time, if my this is not there, then how we can get the set state? So that this particular syntax not work inside this get error state from error to update your state variable or not. Okay, if that syntax is not working, then the time, okay, how I can update my state variable? Okay, those people only said like, hey, can you do one thing? Anyway, you are not using set state method. Okay, set state method take one object as an argument, right? Do one thing. That object you can return me. Then the time I can check with another person to update your state variable and re-rendering. I will take care of that one. Okay, your side, just do one thing. Just return your state updated state values in the object format, he said. So that I return updated state values or has exception is like true or not. I return this one. Then the time this guy only will take care like what? He's going to connect with some other person. He's going to update that one and re-rendering will do it or not. Okay, once my has exception is like true. Now come here, see this dot state dot has exception is there, then the time I'm going to show this particular message. If it is not there, then the time I'm going to show this children or not. Can anyone tell about this crops dot children? This dot crops dot children, can anyone tell? Now my question is, how many ways we can pass the data to the component? Simple. How many ways we can pass the data to the component? Okay, till yesterday only one way you can say. Now onwards you can say how many ways. This is my app component. This is my app component. How many ways we can pass it? Yeah, my name equals to Sachin. Yes, we can pass. This is one way. Okay, inside my app component, how we can take it? This dot. Okay, if it is like a class component, this dot props dot name. If it is like a class component. If it is like a functional component, can anyone guess? If it is like a functional component, can anyone guess? Okay, if it is like a function app, okay, how we can get it? Like a argument or not, or a parameter or not. Perfect. Okay, this is one way. Another way, yesterday's discussion. If this is my app component, you can pass the data as a children also here. Whatever you want, you can put it, not a matter. For example, if you want name Sachin only, just you can pass like one div, you can take it. Here you can write like, okay, this dot state dot name or something. Okay, name. Okay, this is like Sachin only, right? This is like Sachin only or not? Yes or no? Yes or no? Now this data, with respect to my app, it's like what? It's like a children or not. Inside my app, this is like a children or not. Can anyone tell? Inside my app open and closing tag, how many elements you can write? How many elements you can write? Any number of elements you can write it. All elements we can treat like what? Children's to my app component or not. Now tell me, inside my app component, how we can represent the children's if it is like a class component. How we can get it? This dot props dot children. This dot props dot children. Now my children is the predefined crop which is representing all your children inside my app component. Now, if it is like a functional component, can anyone guess? Okay, my predefined crop is like what? Children. Okay, my children is like a last argument. My first argument is what? My first argument is like your data, whatever the data you are passing like this. My next argument, the last argument is like what? Your children or not. The name should be same. Okay, don't change this one X, Y, Z like this. Children, that's it. Understand? If it is like a functional component, if it is like a class component, these are the two ways we can pass that data to the component. Okay, that one only I did here. Now come here. Okay, see this. This is my children and this is my parent. My name equals to Superman. If my name equals to Superman, am I raising an exception or not? Okay, if it is like Superman, I'm not raising an exception. So my exception is not raised. Then that time this particular method is not executed. So my has exception is like a false. If my has exception is like false, then that time only my this dot props dot children is going to execute or not. Okay, my this dot props dot children is nothing but what? Here my hero component, whatever he rendered, that one only my children, that is only rendered or not. Okay, the same thing is applicable for my Batman. My Batman also not raised. But if you come here, my Joker throws an exception. If it is throws an exception in the exception boundary, okay, my exception boundary is like a parent class. Okay, my exception boundary is my parent class. So that it go to my exception boundary. Where is that? It go to my exception boundary. It is going to execute this particular method. Inside the method, you return has exception is like true, so that my state variable is like updated like what? Has exception true. If my state variable is like updated, then the time my render method is going to call. Now my this dot state dot has exception is like true. Has okay, then the time my h1 something went wrong is going to execute or not. Now this particular area, okay, what is going to print? Okay, h1. Inside my h1 something went wrong, it's going to print or not. Something went wrong, it's going to print or not. So for good, up here understand or not? Okay, there has one more method is there. There has one more method is there. There has one more method is there. Which method? There has one more method is there. Which method? Component did catch is the method. Component did catch is the method. Can you come here? Okay, where you want me to override that method? Where you want me to override that method? Can anyone guess? Where you want me to override this method? Inside the parent class only. Okay, wherever you return get derived state from error, the same place you have to keep this one. Okay, can you go to my exception boundary one? Okay, just write your method here. Component did catch. Component did catch. Okay, this is like a legacy method. Okay, this is like newly introduced. Inside my component did catch. Okay, it gives me your information. Exception information is going to provide. Exception information is going to provide. Just you can put like a comma b, a comma b. Just you can put it. Now can you come here? Can you check? Inspect it. Can I refresh my page? Okay, now come here. Just wait. Okay, it's still. Now if you observe here, okay, okay. Now A is like what? My A is like, see this? My A is contains what? Error. You are not a hero. Okay. You are not a hero. Okay. This is the error message you provided. Inside my B, what it contains? If you observe here. Okay. The B contains nothing, I guess. This is my error message. Just can you come here? This is my A. Okay. This is your error message information. See, whatever you throw. Okay. That is your error message information. The next one is like B. Okay. See. Tag is nothing but the flow where exactly the error happened. Where exactly the error happened. Okay. Now here, if you see this one, okay, from where my execution is going to start. Okay, in the app.js, exception handling.js, okay, exception boundary, the stack, okay, execution flow is going to be visible. Got it or not? Okay, that information, if you want, just you can print it. Okay, just you can write like my console.log of A. Okay, and then my console.log of B. Okay, this is your error message. It's like a stack error. Okay, it's like stack. Now come here. is my error message. This is my stack. Now save this one. Now come here. Just remove the debugger. Debugger is not required. Now go to my home. Go to my home. Can I refresh my page? Okay. Now can you go to my about? Okay. There has an exception raised. Okay. Now see this, that stack and everything is printed or not. Component ability catch. Okay. This is the message you are getting. The next one is like, okay, this is the one. Okay, this is the stack. If you want to use this stack wherever you want, just you can use it. This stack, if you want to use, you can use it. Okay, you can ask like, see, every time you are not a hero is displayed in the browser, right? Displayed in the browser, right? If it is displayed in the browser, okay, my end user come to know like, okay, something is happened. Okay, in production, what happened, you know, in production, that particular error message, okay, it's not visible. In the production, it's not visible like this. In the production, directly it's going to show this page itself. In the production, directly it's going to show this page only. In the production, there is no problem at all. Understand or not? Okay, at the time of deploying this particular code, I will show you that day. Okay, you may not see this one. Okay, you should not see that particular message. Okay, this one you should not see. This particular page you should not. Okay, directly it's going to be visible. This one only, something went wrong. Okay, this is the way it's going to work. Exception handling. Okay. Okay, then the next one is like forward reference. Okay, just come here. Okay, my requirement is this one. I have one text box is there. I have one text box is there. I have one button is there. I have one text box and I have a button. This text box inside one component. This text box inside one component. Okay, this is like different component. Okay, for example, my component is like text box. Now this button inside another component is like a app component, for example. Okay, this is my app component. The concept name we'll see later. First of all, see the requirement and do it. This is my app component. Okay, that is my parent component, you can say parent component. Inside the component, directly I have a button is there. Directly I have a button is there. Okay, here this is my text box. This is my text box. This is my text box. At the time of clicking on this particular button, the text box inside another component. See here, it's not inside the same component. It's not inside the app component. The text box inside another component. Okay, wherever the text box is there, inside the text box, I want to place a such pen at the time of clicking on the button. That's my requirement. See here. In this requirement, how many components are required? One is like parent component is required. Inside that component, there has one children component is there. Inside my parent component, button is there. Inside my parent component, one more component is like a text box component. That component contains your text box. At the time of clicking on this particular button, okay, the text box inside another component, okay, that should be filled with what? Such. That's our requirement. That is our requirement. So that, can we do that one? So this concept we can say like a forward reference. Why we said like forward reference? Okay, once this example done, then you can come to know like, okay, the name is like forward reference. Why you put like that? So far it's like 5 tabs are there. I want one more tab. So what changes you want me to do? What changes you want me to do? Can you go to your, where is that, menu.jsx? Okay, here you can write one more and cut that. Okay, what is that? Forward reference. Forward reference. So what is the next step? I created one item, menu item. Okay, that menu item should map with what? That menu item URL should map with one component or not. So you have to create one component. Okay, create one component. Where you want me to create? Inside the source tab, just you can create. Okay, already terminal open, right? Just go to source. Cd source. Okay, my component is like create React component forward ref. Right now, can we import that component? Okay, how we can import? Through dynamic import, through lazy loading, you can say. Now, what is the syntax? Lazy is the method. Lazy is the method which take one callback function as an argument. Take one callback function as an argument. That callback function has to return, okay, your component where it is. Okay, from this particular path you have to import it. Where is my path? Okay, this is my forward reference. Okay, the next one is like index. The next one is like index. Finally, it's going to return what? Whatever this particular path is going to return. Okay, that one is going to return by lazy. So that can be hold with one variable. How we can hold it? Constant. Okay, forward. Okay, now this forward reference you have to use. Okay, while mapping or not. Okay, can we map it? Okay, by using route. Now copy this one. Can you place here? Okay, here my path is like what? Forward ref. Forward ref. My path is like forward ref. The component name is like what? Forward reference is my component or not? Forward reference is my component. That's it. Okay, now can we run? Now this is my forward reference. Can I click on this one? Yes. Okay, now my forward reference is like a parent one. You can say like this is your parent instead of app. My forward reference is my parent. Forward reference is my parent. Inside my forward reference, what you want? One more component, text box component I want, one button I want. So that can we create one more component is like a text box component. Okay, so you can do first. Now how we can you go to your forward reference folder because this text box component only for that requirement. Forward reference. Okay, here you can create your component. Which component that is? One text box I want. Simply you can write like a text box. Done. Now inside my forward reference component, inside my forward reference component, inside my forward reference component, what do you want me to place? This text box component I want to place it as well as one button. So that can we get that text box component? How we can get it? Import text box from where? Text box index. Now my text box is my component. Text box is my component. Any name you can put it. It's not a matter. Any name you can put it. Text box is my component. The next one is like what? One button. My button is like a click. Okay, done. Now how it looks like? It looks like this. This is my text box component. This is my button. Inside my text box component, what do you want? The name on text box is required or not? So that can you go to your text box component? Now can you go to your text box component? Can you create some content based on your requirement? What is your content? My content is like this one name. Okay, text box. That's name and text box. Now come here. Yes. Now this is inside a text box component. This is inside a forward reference component. Our requirement is what now? At the time of clicking on this particular button, this particular text box should be filled with what? Searching. That is our requirement. Should be filled with searching. Okay. If it is inside this particular component, both are inside same component, same forward reference component, directly we can get it. Why? Because this is also available, this is also available, we can do it. But this text box not inside this forward reference component, that is inside in another component or not. So how I can do it? How I can do it? First do one thing. From where you want me to start our requirement? At the time of clicking on the button only you are going to perform some operation or not. So that first of all write the button click event. Where is your button? My button is inside this particular component or not? Forward ref component. So that can we write one event? On click is my event. On click equals to this dot function click. Okay, can we bind here itself? Yes, we can bind it. Can anyone tell how many places my this is available by default? How many places my this is available by default? Which methods are called by React? Those all methods contains this by default or not? Which methods by default called by React? Can anyone tell? All lifecycle methods called by React only or not? My constructor, get derived state from prop. If it is like a static, this is not available, leave it. Okay. If it is like instance methods, my this is by default available or not? Okay, component did mount, or component will unmount. Okay, get derived state from prop. Okay, get derived state from error. These are like a static methods. Get snapshot before update. Component did update. Okay, should component update. These all are by default available. This or not? Why? Because this is called by whom? React. Okay, these are the life cycle methods. If this is not available inside one method, how we can make it available? Okay, by using this bind method, we can make it available or not. Okay, now can we define this one? Yes. Okay, this is the one. Perfect. Now at the time of clicking on the button, this method is going to execute. But the purpose of this method is what? I want to add this content. Which content? The constant. My content equals to such. This content I want to add. I want to add the text box inside my text box or not. Okay, first tell me, inside the text box, if you want to add something, if you want to perform some operation on this particular text box, first of all, what is required? If you want to perform some operation on one element, leave the text box and everything. If you want to perform some operation on one element, what do you want? That element reference is required or not? Okay, now the element is like a text box in input, another element is like div. Okay, next time element is like another one is not a matter. If you want to perform some operation on element, first of all, you have to get that element reference or not. Okay, how we can get that element reference? Can anyone tell? If you want to get that element reference, how we can get it? Yes, we have one element is there, one variable is there. This dot refs is the variable, so that we can get element reference like this. Like this you can. Now tell me, my this dot refs variable, coming from React dot component. Okay, by using that variable, we can represent this particular element or not. We can get this element reference or not. How we can get it? This dot refs dot name, like this we can get it or not. This dot refs dot name, like this we can get it or not. This is the reference of your text box. Once you get the text box, you can get the value equals to such and like this, you can write it or not. But tell me, the text box inside the textbox.js component, so that my this dot refs or belongs to what? Textbox.js component, but this dot refs dot name is available inside my parent component, not available or not. Why? Because each and every component has their own object. So that my this dot refs contains name, okay, but my this dot refs not here, my this dot refs not contains any name or something. Okay, this particular object reference is different. Okay, this one object is different. Okay, see this. If you come here, okay, for this, which object is going to be created? Forward reference class object created. Okay, for this, which object is going to be created? Text box object is going to be created. In the forward reference one, this dot refs is pointing to the content, the elements which is having ref attribute. Here, any element having ref attribute? No. So that my this dot refs is like empty here in the forward reference. Here in the text box one, if you see the textbox.jsx, there has one element is there, okay, which is having the attribute called as ref, so that my textbox.js contains this dot refs dot name. Okay, this dot refs contains some content. Okay, but my requirement is, okay, not here. My operation should be happened from here or not at the time of clicking on the button or not. Okay, it's like normal ref. Okay, it's not possible. Okay, if you put like a normal ref, that is restricted to that particular component only. We are not able to use from another component. So how we can? It's very simple thing. Do one thing. In your React, one method is there. Create ref is the method. Okay, that means you can create your own reference first. Okay, how we can create your reference means create ref is the method. Okay, in the React, one method is there. Create ref is the method. First of all, create one reference. Okay, do one. Okay, constructor. Okay, why I need the constructor? Can anyone tell? Any work, okay, with my current object says first time load, you can write that statements inside the constructor. Okay, here you can write like my reference equals to inside a React one method is this method React dot create ref is the method. Yes. This one you created, okay, this statement is regarding like you created one reference. Okay, just you created one empty reference. Okay, here you created the reference already binded with what? On text box or not? It's like empty one. You created one reference. Okay, this reference you can bind to any element. Any element you can bind it. Okay, I have one reference is there. Can you use this reference to this particular text box instead of your reference? Can you use my reference to this particular text box? Okay, you created the reference in my parent one. You have to give this reference to my children one. So can we give it? Okay, I have some data inside my parent. How we can give this data to my children? By using props or not. By using props or not. So that how we can give that reference means just you can give. Okay, any name you can give it. Okay, name reference equals to, here is my reference. My reference is what? This dot my reference is my reference or not. Yeah. Okay, now my text box component, okay, get some data from outside. Which data? Can anyone tell? Which data? Okay, name equals to Sachin also there. Okay, which data we are getting? One is this one, another one is like this one. So types tell me my name data type is like what? Sachin. It's like a string data. My name reference data is like what? My reference. My reference is like what? One empty reference or not. You can use that reference to any element. Okay, done. Now this data go to your text box component. Okay, can anyone tell how we can represent the data? How we can represent the data? If you want to get the name, simply you can write like what? This dot props dot name. Okay, the next one is like reference. So that instead of hard coding this reference, can we use that reference here? This dot props dot, okay, name reference like this. Okay, this is like a string data, so that just I am going to print it here. Okay, this is like a reference. Okay, empty reference. Can we use that empty reference to my text box? Yes, you can use it, no problem at all. Now finally tell me, whatever you created the reference, that is pointing to the text box inside another component or not. Okay, now this reference is pointing to what now? Pointing to my text box inside my text box component or not? Okay, this reference is pointing to this input element or not? Once it is pointing to this input element, at the time of clicking on the button, okay, can we get the reference? Can you put the debugger here? Now say this. Okay, can you save all? Now come here. Can I refresh my page? Okay, it gives me an error. Can you check it? Expected an assignment of function call instead of expression textbox.jsx line number 11 or .jsx. This is the one, right? Can I refresh my page? Yeah. Now inspect it. At the time of clicking on the button, yes, my method is executed inside my forward. Can you check my this? Can you check my this dot my reference? Okay, pointing to what? Text box. Pointing to my text box. See this. This dot my reference. Okay. If you open this one, it's pointing to the text box or not? The text box which is coming from which component? Text box component, outside component or not? So that this dot my reference dot current is pointing to the text box inside another component. So if you have the text box, can you do one thing? What do you want me to do based on your requirements? I want to assign this content to that particular text box or not? How we can assign? This is your text box. If you want to get the data or set the data, how we can? Which property is that? Value is my property. So that can we assign that content? Yes, you can assign like that. Now see this. Now if I click on the button, yeah, my searching printed or not? So see, if I click on the button, my searching printed or not? Yes or no? Okay, my element is inside another component. If you want to get that element reference into your component, yes, you can get it. How you can get it means you can create one reference, empty reference, give that reference to another component, ask him to use that reference to that particular element. Okay, once your reference what you created binding with one element, okay, then my problem solved. Okay, that is only happened here. Here you created one reference. Okay, you given to text box component. Ask my text box component use that reference to this particular element, so that finally your reference what you created that is pointing to the text box or not. Once it is pointing to text box, first of all get the text box. This is the syntax to get the text box. Once you have the text box, my value I don't want to retrieve, I want to assign some data as a value, so that value equals to work. This is the way we are going to forward the references. Okay, now why the name is like a forward reference? You created a reference, you forwarded to another one or not. Okay, you forwarded to whom? You forwarded to another component or not. Understand or not? Okay, okay then. Now this is my text box component. It is like which type of component? It's like which type of component? It's like which type of component? It's a class component. If it is like a functional component, okay, now my text box is inside the functional component, then how we can handle it? Okay, can we write it? Write one new file, text box component functional. Can we create one functional component? How we can create? Constant text box component functional, open one and close one. What do you want me to return? Inside my text box component, what we have? Only this content only or not. So that can we return this content? Okay, for now let's remove this one. For now let's remove this one. Okay, can we export it? How we can export? Export default. What is that? Text box functional component. Done. Can we use this text box functional component also inside my forward reference? Okay. Now this is my import my text box functional from where? From my text box functional. Okay. Now can we use this text box functional component? Now come here. This is my text box functional component or not? Okay. Done. React is not there. Can we get that React here? Okay. Import React from where? From my React. Okay, done. So this is your functional component. The name from functional. Okay, this is like functional component. Okay, this is like functional component. If I click on the button, okay, in the class component, how you forward the reference, same like this to my functional component. So I want to do it. Then how we can anyone guess? How we can? Okay, same syntax you can follow. Go to my forward.jsx. How you pass the reference? Okay, same like this. Okay, name such not required. How you given the data to this particular component? Same like this. You can give it. No problem. Okay, done. Now this data, go to where? Go to my text box functional component. If it is like a functional component, how we can get it? We can get like an object format. Okay, so that this is the one. If data.name, you can name reference, you can put it. Otherwise, you can destructuring the elements here itself. This is also one more. Now, this name reference you want me to use for what? You can use like what ref equals to name reference. That's it. Ref equals to name reference. Yes. Now, if I click on this one, okay. How can you come here? Can you check the correct or what? Yeah, the same reference we are using, right? Okay, this is also same reference, this is also reference. Okay, so that can we use like another reference here. My reference for functional component can use another one. Both are pointing to one text box that is going to override. My reference for what? Functional component. You can create any number of reference, no problem at all. Create reference. Now, why first time it's pointing to what? Normal text box. Okay, normal text box is in the class text box. Next time the same reference overrides what? Override by your text box which is inside your functional component or not. So that only one is going to work. Okay, my reference for functional. So that can use this one. Now there is no issues. Now come here. Now come here. This is my functional. You can use this one. Now, can you come to this particular one? Here, can you write your code? What do you want to write? This dot. My reference for functional. Okay, dot current dot value equals to 20. That's it. Now, if I click on this, yeah, it's working as expected or not? Got it or not? But if it is like a functional one, there has another way also there. There has another way also there. Okay, what is that one? We'll see. Now come here. It's a functional component. Just comment it for now. This is your functional component. This is your functional component. You forwarded the reference to whom? You forwarded the reference to your functional component. You forwarded the reference to your functional component as a prop. As a prop. But you can do one thing also. You can forward the reference by assigning to my predefined attribute ref also. Predefined attribute ref also. Now tell me, my ref is like what? My ref is like a predefined key or not? Predefined attribute key or not? Predefined attribute key. Okay, this one we are not able to take like this dot props dot ref or something. This dot props dot ref or something. If you bind my reference as a reference to this particular component, now see this. Okay, the terminology. If you bind your reference, if you bind your reference by using ref to my component, inside my component is not like a prop now. Okay, just you binded your reference to this particular component. Inside your functional component, how we can take it? Inside my functional component, how we can take that reference? That is the question. Where can you wonder how we can do it? Means very simple thing. Okay, if you forward the reference to my functional component by using ref, by binding with ref attribute key, then the time how we can get that one means by using one method is there. React dot forward ref is the method. React dot forward ref. React dot forward ref. Forward ref is the method. Now inside the method, whatever the functional component is there, that functional component you can pass like a argument to this particular method. Argument to this particular method. Okay. Now this functional component is like what? Is a callback to my forward reference or not? Back to my forward reference or not? Okay. Now how I can? Our goal is like what? Whatever he binded the reference by using ref. Inside the component, I want to use it. I want to bind to this particular one or not. Then how we can means, okay, just you can write something like a comma b like this. You can write it. Now can I put the debugger here? Put the debugger here. Now check. Name reference is not defined. Okay, no problem at all. For now, just remove it. For now, you can remove it. Now its text box is added. Now see, my A is like what? Normal prop. My A is like what? Normal prop. Okay, it's an object, empty object, normal prop. My B is like what? Whatever the reference you forwarded, that one is coming here as a second argument or not? As a second argument. Understand or not? So this is the first argument. It's like your props, your props. My second argument is like what? Okay, your reference or not? So that reference can be used here. My ref is an predefined one. Any name you can put it, no problem at all. Okay, you can put like forward reference. Okay, that reference you can add here. That reference you can add here. Okay, now it should work as expected. Now come here, can we remove this one? Okay, this is my forward reference. Now if I click on this one, yes, working as expected or not. We go for forward reference. Understand? You can forward the reference. You can forward the reference by using what? By using a prop to my class component. Okay, my React.forward reference only for the functional components only we are going to use. Okay. Okay, our goal is like simple. The thing is I have one reference is there. I want to give this reference to some other person to pointing one of the element. That's it. I'm forwarding my reference. Whatever I created, one empty reference I have, I forwarded this reference to some other component. Okay, inside that component, he is pointing that reference to one element. Okay, so that finally my reference, what I created like empty, that is pointing to one element, I can use that reference, whatever, okay, how you want. Okay, you can set the data or you can get the data, whatever you want, you can do it. Whatever you want, you can do it. Understand or not? So possible. Okay. Okay, then the next one. I want to create one quiz. Okay, so that can create that one. Okay, my requirement is like this. I have 5 questions. Okay, my questions will be like this. My question 1. Who is the Prime Minister of India? Okay, this is my question. It should be like this. Okay, and then here my option should be there. Okay, one is here is like Modi. Okay, Modi. Okay, Jagan. Okay, like this. Now here, if it is like this answer is like correct, then the time one radio button is there, you have to check it. You have to check it. Okay. Now which one is the correct answer based on your requirement? Just you can do that. You can check it. It's like a single answer question. Okay, this is my question. It's like a single answer. Always it's like a only one answer we are going to select. Sometimes what happened, okay, we are going to select multiple answers also. We are going to select like multiple answers also. Okay, my question is like only one. Okay, the answers are like multiple. Okay, for example, think. Okay, react dom dot render. Take how many arguments? Dot render arguments. Okay, below how many below arguments you have to below you have to find the react dom dot render. Okay, my first one is like element. Okay, the next one is like you can say like fragment. The next one is like container reference. The next one is like none of this. None. Okay, now answer is like what? My React DOM dot render contains multiple arguments. Arguments are like what? Element is like one argument. My container reference also like one argument or not. That means for this particular question, like that is multi answers are there. So that you have to select this one and this one. If you want to select like a multi answers, then you should have to go with what? Then you should have to go with radio button or it's like a checkbox. You should have to go with the checkbox or not. You should have to go with the checkbox. Okay, most of the times, okay, this type of questions only you can find it. Maybe my answer is like for my question, my answer is like a single answer, or for my question, my answer is like a multi or not. Okay, if you know, okay, this particular one prepared by whom? You people only, right? Okay, at the time of preparing this particular question paper, okay, which question is like a single answer, which question is like a multi answer, you know that one. Based on that one, you have to prepare. Okay, this is like a radio buttons you want, or it's like a checkbox you want. Okay, you have to decide it. Understand or not? Okay, now my view should be simple, like this only I want. If it is like a radio button show this, show here, radio button show here. Otherwise, if it is like a checkbox, checkboxes you can show. Okay, like this I want. So let's start it. First, I want to create one component. Like a quiz. Okay, inside the source only, right? Okay, clear it. Create React component. Quiz. That is not working here. key not working in the keyboard. Yeah. The next one. I want one tab, one menu item. So that can we create here like this. Yes. Okay. Now my path is like this one only, right? Okay, so that you can directly copy and paste here. Okay, it's like Q is like small. Okay, I already created one component, so that can we get that component constant equals to aj is the method. Import it. Okay, from where? My quiz index. Okay. Now this is my component. This is my component. So that component has to render here for that particular path. What is my path here? This is my path. So that this is the one. Now finally this is my quiz. Okay, this is the one. Done. You understand? Okay. Can you check my quiz is there or not there? Here, yeah, my quiz is there. Okay, first my requirement is 5 questions I want to display like this. I want to display like this. 3 questions like single answer. Okay, 2 questions are like multi answer. So prepare like that. 3 questions are like single answers. Okay, 2 questions are like multi answers. Can anyone tell? Can anyone tell the data representation for this particular view? Data representation for this particular view. Data representation for this particular view. Okay, just tell me 5 questions in React. That's enough. 5 questions in React. Data representation for this particular view. Okay, I want some data. That's it. JSON. Okay, 5 questions is nothing but an array. Each and every question has some data. Is nothing but what? Object. Array of objects or not. I want the data representation for this particular view I'm asking. Okay, so that can we create first. First, I need the data. Then only we can render it or not. You know lists and keys, right? Okay, that concept we have used here. Okay, first go and write like a quiz. Okay, this is the quiz.js. Okay, just write some data. Okay, constructor super this dot questions. Okay, how many questions? 5 questions. So that in array. Each and every question has some data, so that it's an object. Okay, my object contains what? Some data which represents your question 1. First object, first question. Okay, my object contains what? Key value pairs. So that my question and options you can write it. What's my question? Just you can write like my question. Okay, just you can put like Q to E. My question is like what? Come on. One React question you can say. So many topics we covered. Right? Just tell me one question, simple question in React. Anyone? What is React? That much answer? No, simple question. What is React means? In React, yeah, how to represent the data which is coming from outside to my class component. Which is coming from outside to my class component. Okay, this is my question. Okay, now answers done. Answers is nothing but option 1. OPT1. Option 1 is what? Riffs. Like props. Option 3. Update. Option 4. Okay, none of the above. Now the answer is what? Okay, Okay, you are preparing one question. Okay, one question you are preparing. Okay, you are the admin, you can say. Okay, my answer is what? A, B, C, D. Which one is the right answer? By using riffs, we can, or by using props, or by using update, or by using none. Which one? The B is the correct answer or not? Yes, sir. This is the question paper. Question paper contains everything related by question. Okay, the next one. It's a single answer or multi answer type. Type is like what? Single or multi? Okay, it's like a single. So that just put like yes. Okay, where we are using this yes, I will tell later. Okay, just you have to tell the total things about the question. Okay, the next one. So the question, okay, identity I also want. ID equals to 1. Okay, like this. This is my first question. Okay. Next. Second question. Hang on. Below, which are life cycle method? Which are not life cycle or life cycle? Okay. Yeah. Below, which are life cycle methods? Answer is what? Answer. Component did update also life cycle method. Component will unmount also. So that my answer is like what? B. Okay, it's like type is like multi or single. It's like multi. Okay, next. Another question. Next. Another one. Next question. Okay, how to update state variable? Variable. Okay. Okay. This one is the correct one. This dot set dot name equals to value. Okay, it's like property name equals to property value. It's like a normal JSON, right? Okay. Another one is like by using random method is possible by using set state. Which one is the right answer? C is the right answer or not? It's like multi or it's a single. Multi or single? Single. Okay. Next question. 4. Okay, which methods we are using in exception handling? Already we used right component did update, component did mount life cycle methods related, right? Okay, we can tell something different. React DOM dot render take. Okay, which arguments? Which arguments? Hmm? 𝕨𝕒𝕥𝕚𝕚𝕟𝕘 which arguments below. So I take element as an argument. Another one is like function. Okay, the next one is like container reference as an argument. Okay, this is like a callback function, right? See. Okay, callback function. Callback function is an argument. Okay, the answer is like what? A, B, C or not? The answer is like A, B, C. All are right only or not? Yes or no? It's like single or multi? It's a multi. Okay, next. Last question. This is my fifth question. Yeah, how many ways you can prepare the, how many ways you can create the components in React? How many types of components are there in React? How many types of components? Please use my answer. It's like a single or not. Okay, done. Now I have the data. Now what is the next one? This data you have to show in this format or not? Question, and then answers. So that what you want me to do? If you want to perform the same operation on each and every element, then we should have to go with what? Map method or not? Map method or not? Okay, in the list and keys concept. Okay, if you say this, okay, list, reusable, list and keys, all these things we discussed, right? Okay, we use like map method or not? So can we use that one? Now come here. Where is your quiz? Okay, where is your questions? These are my questions, right? This dot questions is my data variable. So at first time node only I want to perform some operation, so that just you can take like instead of this dot state you can take like this. Okay, first my this dot questions has some data. It's like a array. If you want to perform some operation on each and every element, then you can go with map. My map method take one callback function as an argument. Okay, that one is going to return some content or not. Yes. Whatever the content, okay, that content you can prepare. Okay, inside my these dot questions, how many questions are there? 5. So that yes, visible. Okay, now in the inside this yes, you have to prepare your first question, second question like this or not. Yeah, I don't want yes, I want to prepare the questions now. Then can anyone? How you can? My this dot questions dot map, it's take on callback function as an argument. That callback function called by map, how many times? How many questions are there? That many times. So by calling that callback, it's passing multiple arguments. First argument is like your first element. Second argument is like your index. Okay. Now my first element is like what? First question. My first question is nothing but this one. So inside the first question, what you want? Can we get the data? Okay, object.id, object.id, like this we can get it or not. So can we get the question first? Can we get the question first? H3, obj.qu, which is my question or not. Okay, come here, can you check? Yeah, my question is printed or not. Okay, here, question marks missing. So where you want me to do the change? Here, right? In the data itself, you have to do the change. I'm done. Okay, now I want like 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers I want. Then how you can get it? How you can get the numbers? The identity is there, like can we use like a number? Okay, how you can? Here, my obj.id, after that on dot I want. That's, yeah. Okay, next. What is next one? Once my question is done, each and every question has some options. So can we write that options on para? obj dot opt1. Like this, how many options are there? 4 options. Okay, this is my option 2, this is my option 3, this is my option 4. Done. So all my questions are ready or not? Okay, here it's not visible. I will tell how we can make it visible. Okay, I want to give some gap in the left side, so that can we give some gap in the left side here? This is my div, right? Okay, for this div, can we write one class name equals to margin left, okay, 10 pixel, margin left 10 pixel. This is my class. So that can we create the class here? Margin left 10 pixel. Perfect. Now says how it's visible. Next. Now come here. Now come here. Which element is repeated multiple times for that element? Can we give the predefined attribute key for the identity? That is the key. Yes. Okay. Now here I want the radio button somewhere. Somewhere it's like a checkbox. Somewhere it's like a checkbox. So that based on which one you want me to use like a radio button, based on which one you want me to use like a checkbox. If my type is like yes, sir, then it's a radio button. If my type is like yum, then it's like a checkbox or not. So can we write that piece of code here? Okay, now where is that? Is that right? Okay, here. Can we write here? My obj dot type is equals to yes, single. And that time what you want me to show? Okay, single. Then that time what you want me to show? And that time my input type equals to what? Radio. Else, okay, my input type equals to what? This is applicable for all. For practice purposes, you can write it. Okay. This is another one. This is another one. This is another one. Yeah. Can you check now? Now see this. Radio buttons, checkbox, radio button, checkbox, radio button. Yes or no? Now the thing is, the radio button behavior should be what? Do you want me to select like all radio buttons in a single group? Do you want me to allow like that? Okay, checkbox, it's okay, fine. Checkbox, it's okay, fine. I can agree with this. Okay, radio button. Okay, for my question 1, these 4 should be one group. For my question 3, these 4 should be one group. Like this, you have to make it like group or not. How we can make it like a group for my radio buttons? By using which property? By using which property you can make it is like a group? By using which property for my radio button? By using name is the property. If my name is like same, then that time how many radio buttons name is like same? Those are like one group. So for these 4 radio buttons, my ID is like what? 1 only or not? Yes or no? For my first question, my ID is like 1. So that 1 can I use like a name here? Okay. Now when you come here. Okay, for my first question, my name is like what? For my first question, my ID is like what? 1. So the name is like 1, 1, 1, 1 like this. For my third question, my ID is like 3. Okay, that is your identity. Just you can use like a name. No problem at all. You can use any. Now see, these 4 name is like 1. So this is like one group. Yeah. Okay, checkbox I can allow. You can enter. You can do whatever you want. Okay, this is again one group or not. Okay, checkbox what whatever you want you can do it, no issues. Whatever you want you can do it. Okay, my radio button again is like one group or not. Yeah. My view ready? Yes or no? Okay. Finally, I need one submit button. Okay, at the time of clicking on the submit button, I have to check. Okay, which answers are correct. Just you have to give one message like what you got these many marks like that. One timer has to run here. This timer will see later, no problem at all. This timer will see later. First of all, complete this one. Okay. Tomorrow also we have a class at the same time. Okay, just join. Tomorrow we'll continue the mathematics. Okay, I'll upload this one. Just you can download. Thanks guys. Thanks for joining.